Most people are poor because they choose to be poor. Now, hear me out. I know you're just about to say, this guy is crazy and click off the video. No, no, no. Just hear me out for a little bit. Just hear me out. You see, there are decisions and choices that we make in life without even realizing them. But these choices can be very detrimental to how our life is going to turn out. So, generally speaking, everyone has a story. Everyone has a story they tell themselves. My story used to be, for those of you that know me, my dad used to be crazy. He used to be crazy. So the story that I created and the story that I told myself was, my dad doesn't like me. Therefore, this life that I'm living is going to be messed up because my dad is supposed to be positive figure in my life and he's supposed to be guiding me, and yet he's so tough on me. He doesn't love me. He doesn't, he doesn't really care about me. That's the story that I told myself. And this story made me very, very angry and very, very upset for so many years, until one day I thought to myself, hang on here, if I change the story and I say, okay, my dad may be crazy, my dad may not like me. Why don't I focus on myself and just do things for myself and not rely on dad doing something for me? How am I going to do this? I'm going to do this by improving my grades at school. I'm going to do this by making sure I get a very good job, and so on. So anyway, thankfully, I managed to change my story. And this is the root of how you can improve yourself. Now, let's take a look at a lot of Zimbabweans. Their story is, the economy is bad. Their story is ZANU-PF. Their story is, I live in a poor country. Their story is, I grew up in the village. Have you asked yourself why someone who is in a village, which we say is very poor, but comes out of that, thrives, and performs way much better than someone who's gone to a private school, or someone who has been given so many opportunities, or someone who's actually in a family which is very, very wealthy? Why? And this is where things gets very interesting. Now, when I take a look at people in general, I mean, this applies to Zimbabweans and pretty much everyone. The stories that we tell ourselves are then followed by actions. And these actions can be self-destructive. I'll tell you how. I want to use clear examples here, and I'm sure some of you can relate with me. Perhaps maybe you've done the same with some of your family members and so on. I've given so many people opportunities because, I'm the type of person where I don't like giving out cash, because then that person that I'm giving cash all the time becomes my problem. He now goes on my budget. I don't like that because I want to stay away from making people a part of my problem. So what I do is I rather say, okay, here's the money, set up something, set up a business, and take care of yourself so that tomorrow you don't come running to me over and over again. So I used to say, I want to start a project for you. I want to start a project for you. I want to start a project for you. Give out money. And they all failed. They all failed. So I was saying to myself, okay, they all failed. Now no one can come to me and say, you haven't helped me. Sure enough. But the deeper I looked into the situations, I started to realize, well, the actions that these people take or are taking are self-destructing. For example, you give someone money to start a project. They do that project for the first round, and then that money now we're on actions, remember? That money now is used to drink alcohol, right? That money is going to prostitutes, right? That money is going to buying drugs. Now, can you imagine how this person now is going to improve their state of life when the majority of their money that they're getting from whatever they're doing is now turned into drugs? It's turning into alcohol. It's turning into impressing women. These are your profits, right? But you know what? This person here will go out there and blame external forces for his failure. Do you see what I mean? This is the poor man's mindset. They know they've spent all that profit on enjoying themselves over the weekend. And then now they are so quick to start bringing out all these external forces that are making him poor. Isn't that crazy? Okay, next, habits. Habits. These habits that poor people have, they may not even realize it, but they're serious and they compound. You know how we talk about compounding in financial senses? These habits also compound in life. For example, let's say you spend 3 hours a week watching Netflix, and I spend 3 hours a week learning how to do online marketing. By the end of the year, you find that you are going to be complaining about, oh my goodness, my financial situation is not looking good. I'll be thinking to myself, well, I've gained a lot because I dedicated 3 hours a week learning about a new topic that is going to help me improve my business. But you'll find that the person that has been watching Netflix is quick to point out the economy of Zimbabwe, the economy of this country, the economy of that country, the economy of that country. Why? They're not looking at their actions. What has Netflix done for you in that whole year? Those hours could have been used in a very constructive way. Now, I'm not here trying to put myself in a position of I'm better than you. No, that's not the point. But I'm saying I've also made crazy mistakes. I mean, I could have been someone who is super wealthy, but I made some dumb decisions in my life. And these things that I'm sharing here are things that I'm coming across and witnessing, and I'm saying, wow, I could have done this, and this could have been, much better. So this is why I'm discussing this, not because I've been born with this amazing way of analyzing things in life, and so far it's worked for me and everyone else is stupid. No, I've made these mistakes and now this is why I'm discussing them. And I know some of you are going to say, oh, you know what? Yeah, poverty is not choice, blah, blah, blah. In not all cases is it a choice. Not all cases. But in majority of the cases, yes, it's by choice. Do you know that I've been having discussions with people and they were telling me, prostitutes are so many in Zimbabwe because the country is so difficult. Thieves, there are so many thieves in the country because the country is so difficult. The country is poor. That's not true. And I'll tell you why. There's countries which are poorer than Zimbabwe. Let's take for parts of Somalia. In Somalia, they can go for their Friday prayers and leave their shops open. And these shops could have gold, money, everything. They just leave everything and go. No one steals. I'm sure some of you have witnessed this even in the Middle East and so on and so forth. They don't steal. But it's poorer than Zimbabwe. Can you explain what's happening there? There's countries where, like Afghanistan, Yemen, all these countries which are poorer than Zimbabwe, some of them, they've been in war for years, but prostitution is not there, even though the country is rich. So my point here is, of course, there's other factors like religious strictness is what's causing these prostitutions not to happen. And if you do it, you're going to be in trouble. But my point is, just because the country is poor doesn't necessarily mean that we should have an influx of prostitutes and also many, many thieves. These are actions. These are choices. And these choices are self-destructing. So now back on the habits. There is many habits that we do every day. And these habits we may not know. These habits are self-destructing. But yes, they are. Even the food you eat every day. There's certain foods that you eat them, they just make you tired. Now, when you're tired, how are you going to compete with someone who is active, he's eating, the right foods, and his mind is always functioning every single day? So you're feeling tired for, let's say, 20% of the day. This guy is energetic. By the end of the year, he would have achieved quite a lot compared to someone who's eating the bad food. I'm just giving this as an example, okay? I'm not attacking anyone on a diet or anything. It's just an example. Habits, right? Some people have a habit of, okay, every weekend I'll be watching football. 90 minutes gone. 2 hours, 3 hours gone. How do you expect those habits to empower you and make you richer. Do you know the world we're living in is so brutal? Because we have so many forces, and these forces are forces which we cannot do anything about. If you ask yourself that in that country, let's say in this case, Zimbabwe, in that same country, you are running away from that country to go for greener pastures. But there are people now who are in that country who are making it. Same country, same situation. Okay, you may be saying, okay, I'm picking on Zimbabwe. Let's go to England. In England, did you know there's 5 million children living under poverty? In this country where the economy is so amazing, 5 million children in poverty. And also, you might be thinking, the poverty in England is much, much better. No, read about it. It's serious. I could even go to even more stats. Why is it we're getting these issues in these countries, yet the economy is very good? So, in my opinion, it's the story that you tell yourself. It's then the action that you do, the actions and the habits that you have that are making you poor. Now, you might be thinking, well, if I go to England, my life is going to be amazing. It's going to be fantastic. I mean, I'm going to afford this. I'm going to afford that. You see, these countries, they play on the emotions of people, right? Emotions of people. For the most part, they know you can't afford certain things. Let's give an example of an iPhone. I would say it's a rough figure anyway. It's not something that is 100%. But I would say about 80% of people with the latest iPhones have bought them on credit, paying a bill of £70 a month for 2 years. They can't afford to buy it brand new. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments box below. And don't come in and say, I've bought an iPhone, so how can you say what you say? I'm not saying you individually, but let's just talk generally speaking. I've seen people with iPhones where you know that, how are they able to afford a phone? It's on credit, okay? So majority of things that people have in the West are because there's a credit system. Most people can't afford. Do you know that you can even go and buy this mouse right here? And I mean, this costs about 150, right? So you purchase it, and just before you check out, they'll say to you, do you want to pay X amount today and then pay the rest later? Why are they doing this? Do you think they like you? Do you think they really care about you? No, because they know that if you go into that contract, you miss a payment, the interest kicks in. And it applies to everything. If they don't get you on the issue of buy now, pay later, they'll say, spread it in 3 months, interest free, and then you say, oh wow, interest free over 3 months, and they're not charging me extra. Yes, some people may say, okay, it's making things easier for me because I can spread my costs, and then I can use this rest of the money for something else. Yes, but for most people, they fall into the trap where they end up paying more for that product. And that is why those options are there. If those options were there and they didn't benefit the companies, then the companies would not be doing that. It's all about making money. It's not for you. So when people say in the UK, I'm able to afford this, the question is, are you affording it because you're buying cash? Or you're saying afford because you can afford the minimum payments? Okay, that's a thought. Now, let's talk about how you can really get out of this poverty cycle. The most important thing there is to change your story. When you look at a situation, look at opportunities rather than problems. In fact, look for problems, okay? Look for problems. If you look for problems, then come up with solutions. Come up with solutions to fix those problems. And that is how a lot of people have made money. A lot of people made money. Okay. Secondly, you change your actions. The actions that you take every day should change for the better. Your habits also need to change. If you're someone who drinks a lot, that drinking has an effect over time. And everybody knows this, but we ignore it. And then we expect wonders out of it. It doesn't work. Education is very important. Educate yourself. in things that will empower you and make you a make you a better person. And that is what you need to do. The fifth part is friends. Do you know that friends can really pull you down so much to a point where you can almost lose everything? That's why they say if you're an eagle, don't fly with the ducks. No, find like-minded people, because friends are supposed to be people that help empower you, where you're building on each other, pushing each other, encouraging each other. But at the same time, this is a double-edged sword. There are friends also who encourage each other to what? To drink every weekend, to do prostitution, to do drugs, and to do all these crazy things. And then you wonder why you're poor. So my challenge is, in fact, it's not a challenge. They say that your net worth is the average of the 5 people that you hang around with. I used to look at that and say, oh my goodness, this is ridiculous. How? But think about it. Look at the salaries of the people that you hang around. Look at their investments. You are the average of those people that you hang out with. So if most people that you hang out with, their thing is about drinking and just having fun, you're a part of that. But what amazes me is when we've made all these choices and we've made all these decisions in life, what do? We blame external factors. This is why on this channel here, I don't want people to get all wound up and get emotional about ZANU-PF and Zimbabwe and this and that. Because you know what? In England, there's Zimbabweans who are absolutely doing nothing. Okay, they're on benefits and basically they're not hard workers. Now, am I saying that there's no Zimbabweans that are hard workers? Absolutely not. Am I saying that there are no Zimbabweans who have made it in England? No, I'm not saying that. There are so many Zimbabweans who have made it, who are doing very well and who have taken the opportunities and they're doing fantastic. I have friends like that. I also have friends in Zimbabwe who are doing very well, never left Zimbabwe, doing fantastic. So it all comes down to the story that you tell yourself, the actions that you take on a daily basis, the habits that you have, and the education. So I want to know what your thoughts are. And by the way, there are certain people who in certain situations, they don't really have a choice, because you might be thinking that this is brutal, okay? Someone who's born in the village and then they have no source of education and whatever, it's not their fault. Yes, to a degree, I can say yes. Yes, I agree. But for the most part, poverty is by choice. And then there's also situations where you are in a country which is war-torn, right? What can you really do in that situation? Absolutely nothing. So I'm not saying those people have chosen to be in that situation. These are external factors that are affecting them. But for the most part, you're going to have people that have gone to a very good school, that have a very good family, that the family has wealth, and this child will be a failure and they'll be so crazy, destructive and all that. And then you're also going to have someone coming from Kwazana who's ambitious, who is focused and want to change his life and make it. Same country, same air, same sun, same situation. Why is it some in the same country are making it and some are failing, even if they have all the support they need, all the tools they have, and every single thing that you can think of that can make these people uplift themselves, and they still fail? Some of them, they are very articulate in English. We know that right now, trading and reading, understanding, comprehension, using the computer, they know how to do all these things, but they still fail. Why? It's the story. Anyway, I know this is a bit of a controversial topic. It's not meant to point fingers at anyone and say, this is that, this is this. These are just things that I observe every day. And I look at them and I say, why? Why? Oh, I almost forgot. Since I've been in Zimbabwe now, there's people that I say to them, because I do speak to a lot of people, young guys. And I say, there's a particular guy. He drinks every single morning. In fact, I don't even think this guy survives without even drinking. I sit down with him and I say, listen, you know, you repair shoes and all of that. And every time you get $1, you go and buy alcohol. Why don't you save this money? Why don't you do something with it? And I can even help you. Not interested. Not interested. I can give you so many examples. Someone, you can employ someone. You are thinking you're giving that person an opportunity to better themselves. No, no, no. You want them to better themselves, but they don't. So I've come to a conclusion now that sometimes you can be out there wanting to help people improve their lives, but they don't want to improve their life. That's you creating all these ideas in your head about how their life could be, but they're not interested. And can you imagine now this is happening on a massive scale? It's crazy. So the stories that we tell ourselves, the actions, the habits, and all this. And also, if you notice that these people are so angry and they are the ones who are behind the keyboard typing a lot, and they are the ones who talk a lot of bad things about other people. They even blame people in the diaspora. They even blame everyone for their own shortcoming. I can give you so many examples. So I would like to know what you guys think. These are my thoughts. Let me know in the comments box below. Have you experienced or have you helped people before and they just, it just failed? Have you tried to want so good for someone and yet they're just self-destructing? Let me know in the comments box below. Anyway, thank you very much for watching and I'll see you again in the next one. Take care.